I got to give my sister the line of the night award. I walked in the back with my family. I was like, was that too long? My sister was like, you played it for 21 years. They can listen to you for an hour. I was like, okay.
All right, let's go. We're just going to open it up questions here in the room. If you've got a question, raise your hand. We'll bring a mic over to you, and we'll get started down here. Kevin, you want to kick us off here?
Sure. Sue, the speech, kind of how long you been working on that? Did you workshop it with various people? What was the behind the scenes on that?
I probably should have, because then maybe I could have like tightened her up a little bit. Because I didn't. I obviously went through it a little bit with Megan, just kind of like, hey, this is like the timeline and the people I want to hit and all that stuff. I didn't anticipate it being that long, but the truth is I don't know that I could have taken anything out. That's what this has meant to me. It was just so important for me to say names and to point people out and to tell them what they've meant. I'm already thinking of things I wish I would have said. And that's just really what my career has been here. It really goes beyond the basketball court. It almost has nothing to do with basketball in so many ways. The connection I have with the city, with the fans, with this franchise. And again, like I said out there, to reiterate, what they've given me. I feel like a lot was made of what I have given them in my final year, but I really just wanted to emphasize what all the people I named have given me and what I'll take.
Yeah, so just talk about what it meant for Lauren to be here and Swin and Jenny Busak and stuff and all the things that they said for you.
Yeah, I'm blown away by it. I keep joking. It's this experience is I don't mean this morbid. Some people think it's like a wedding and a funeral in one this weekend, because a wedding in that you're seeing all these people you don't get to see all the time. You're trying to soak it all up in this one moment. And the funeral part is, not to joke about funerals, but the funeral part is, the things that they're sharing about you and what they're, just what they're expressing in terms of what the relationship was with whoever it was that was speaking and myself and, what they see in me or what they saw in me or what their experience was with me. I mean, that's very rare that you get to have these types of moments. So it was really special for everyone who spoke to hear what they had to say. And then of course for Lauren to fly out here with her son. I mean, that's a big, big trip. So it's just so meaningful. And the one thing I really wish I would have said, it just kind of escaped me, was how amazing it's going to be in the rafters. Yes, but it's going to be even more amazing being next to her.
And dating back to your time in high school, could you ever envision?
Really took you guys on a ride.
But when you're back there, like ever envision the career that you would go on to have? And
No. I think the story of my early career, even maybe into my early WNBA days, it's kind of like you always, like I always knew I was good, or people always knew that I was pretty good, but I don't think anyone, myself included, could have imagined this. My family could have imagined this. My friends could have imagined this. It's like even coming out of high school, I think I was in the top 20, but like, I don't know, maybe like 20. It wasn't like I was the number one recruited kid or the number one in the class or anything like that. So to quickly answer your question, no, never could have imagined it.
A quick one to start. Was there anybody who showed up today that was a surprise to you?
Ben McLemore, that was a surprise for sure. Wonderful surprise. It's funny. I think there have been like a handful of surprises along the way, but somebody at least like 3 or 4 different people at different times messed up the surprises. So I kind of knew what was happening. Even some of the locations of places, like different parties or different celebrations, have been slipped along the way. I didn't know Megan was hosting. I knew she was speaking. I didn't know she was hosting. So that was also a surprise that one got kept.
And does this in a way put a closure on your career? The jersey's up there. You feel like now you're really retired?
Oh yeah, a little bit. Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. I think that's why I wanted to make sure I thanked those that I wanted to thank, because this does feel like the last time. Obviously not the last time I'll be in the building or the last time I'll be around or anything like that, but the last time as a player. Right now I'll just be a former player. So in some ways it does feel not closure. That's not really the word I would use, because I am going to be around and I feel very much still a part, even if I don't have an actual jersey or basketball shoes on. But this did feel like the last thing, you know, because even last year during the final season, there was all these different moments throughout. It was like the never ending retirement. And this one, I think today, and the fact that my jersey is in the rafters is kind of like just I forget who said it, but a period, end of sentence, on to the next.
Okay, so I talked to Gary Payton on video, and then I talked to Jamal Crawford through the DMs. Obviously, they couldn't make it because of their working for the finals. But can you just talk about your relationship with both of them and how they made you feel welcome since you've gotten here?
Yeah. Well, I always say my favorite story about Gary Payton is just, you know, I mentioned getting picked up in the limo, which is true. And, you know, I got taken to Key Arena. Sonics were playing the Spurs. I'll never forget it. And Gary Payton at some point in the game had an assist, and the announcer was like, "A little love from the glove." And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh man, I hope I play here long enough, or I hope I have, you know, enough assists where I get a cool little tagline. I just thought that was so wonderful. But obviously I was a fan of Gary Payton before I even came out here. So then getting to meet him, getting to know him just at different points throughout my career is really special. And it's always fun to know that we're kind of like the 2 point guards. We're like the 2 Seattle point guards that everybody knows. And for Jamal, we're of similar age. So when I first got out here, I met Jamal. He was a friend. He still is. And so that's been really cool to actually have a friend. And I always say that one of the biggest compliments, I almost said it tonight even, but I've said it publicly before. One of the biggest compliments was somebody was talking about, you know, top Seattle athletes, and they like said my name. This was like a casual conversation amongst other basketball players. Even Will Conroy was there. And I was like, oh, no. Like, I'm not like you guys. Like, I'm not from here. And Jamal kind of stepped in and was like, no. He was like, you are definitely a part of, you know, the Seattle sports community as a Seattleite. And that was really meaningful coming from him.
And then final question, I know you kind of answered this on the Zoom call last year, but is ownership, have you guys talked about it, potentially you joining the ownership group here?
Not right now. Not right now. But ownership is definitely something that I would love to consider and be a part of at some point. I'm already with the NWSL. I'm a investor in Gotham. So yeah, I think it's we'll see. Hopefully it works out.
Hey, Sue. What's it like to watch a game now when you're sitting courtside?
It's different. It's different. I miss a lot. Like, not miss like I miss it, meaning like I miss things. Like a play will happen. I'll be like, oh dang, I didn't see it. And then like you can't, I'm like, where's the Jumbotron? So you actually like miss a lot sitting in those seats because people are talking to you. So I'm not like in the game as much as I usually am when I'm on that court, right? I don't know what the game plan is. I don't know what they're doing on pick and rolls or what, you know, so it's like, I'm not as in it. And I kind of, now I am using the word miss in this way. I miss it. I miss being in the know. I miss being a part of all of that. But it's also really enjoyable too, to just be a fan, you know, to know I did my time and now I get to watch the next generation.
Do you ever get that feeling of like, oh, I would like to step out there and do this in this moment or anything like that?
No, honestly, the minute I stopped, I also stopped working out in that way. And I just know it would hurt. I'm like, well, I'm like, I see defensive slides. I'm like, ow, those look painful. So no, that kind of takes away. But what I said, if you caught on the Jumbotron, when they played like the letter and some of the memories, it really is true. It's like, I will forever miss it. And that's okay. That's okay. I think some people try to avoid missing it maybe when they're, you know, in my seat up here. And I think the reality is like, no, I'm always going to miss it. And there's going to be days tomorrow, a year from now, 5 years from now, where I'll probably even cry because I miss it and get emotional because I miss it. And that's just a part of it.
First off, how you doing, Ms. Bird?
Good, thanks.
We know you're a Seattle legend, but all around the W, young women wear your jersey, you know, sing your praises. Just what does that mean to you, knowing just not in Seattle, but in these other cities you are loved?
Yeah, it's incredible. Last year when I was going through my final season, the way that, you know, other franchises and their fan bases were kind of like embracing me, celebrating me. I wasn't, it's one of those things, I wasn't like shocked by it. I knew people would show love, but it was also surprising the amount and just
Mhm.
how much. And it really made me realize how much, obviously the impact I've had on the game, but the impact I've had on people and how it's kind of transcended basketball in a lot of ways. But I have to say, I don't know if this is exactly what you're asking. One of the most complimentary aspects of all of this is when current players come and show love. The Mystics tonight were so gracious in coming up and saying hi and saying congratulations and how deserving I am and things like that. And when your peer, or what once was my peer is saying that, I mean, that's the ultimate compliment for sure.
And you kind of beat me to, that's my next question for you. Natasha Cloud called you her PG GOAT.
Yeah.
Ariel Atkins said you putting the medal around her neck really
Yeah.
touched her. Mike Tebow was really complimented. What are you going to miss about, I know that the championship part, but just what are you going to miss about playing in Washington?
In the state of?
DC, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
DC. I was like, what Washington? Yeah, no, that whole team, I have a lot of connection to a lot of players on the Mystics. And you mentioned Coach Tebow. He was our assistant with the Olympic team, and who was right next to him? Eric. So I have some really fun memories with Eric. What was it? Beijing. I have some really great memories with Coach Tebow, really fun memories with Eric. So it's not just the players, it's like you said, the coaching staff as well. And yeah, whether it's Elena as a teammate, Ariel as a teammate, Natasha Cloud's never been my teammate, but a lot of mutual respect there. And we've kind of expressed that to each other. So it's cool to reconnect on a night like tonight. And then Christy Tolliver is one of my close friends. So, I mean, I'm probably missing somebody, but DC is a team that I have a lot of respect for. No problem.
That's time for one or two more questions. Anybody got one before we go? Kevin, go ahead.
Has there been any part of this weekend in the process that's really stood out as a highlight or perhaps surprised you?
I think the mural. I had seen like mural on the itinerary, but I didn't really know like what it was going to be of, where it was, how big it was. So to see that in real life was like, that was incredible. Because when you go around the city, there are a couple of pretty amazing murals. There's obviously statues and things all over the city. The city really, a big part of the experience here is going to see things like that. Even something like the Troll, right? Like that's a big part of the city. All these little, I was going to say, I guess, pieces of artwork. And now I'm a part of that. And that's pretty crazy.
One more here for Larry, and then
What más?
we'll wrap up.
Sue, when we talked to you after the last game, you were sort of weighing your options for what you were going to do in retirement. Have you
Yeah.
sort of settled on what your first big project or?
Not really. I think there's still some stuff that I'm figuring out what I want to do, how I want to spend my time, but that's really actually where I've landed. It's not really like, what do I want to do with my life? It's more what the question that I'm starting to answer is like, what do I want my life to look like? So it's less about the what I'm going to do. It's more like, what do I want it to look like? Do I want to travel? Do I want to be home? Right? Like that's first and foremost a question I'm going to have to answer. So that's kind of where I've landed. So that's just like a little bit of an update. I still don't know for sure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys again, all the coverage, everything. I said it last year, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll take a seat early.
Oh. You want me to talk for another round?